Week's edition of Elections Weekly. As always, I'm your host, Eric Cunningham. With us this week, we got Joe Szymanski and Kraz Granitz. We got a good discussion for you this week. We got some interesting topics, a lot of political news, a lot of primary coverage, and some new election ratings that we've released. They have some pretty substantial changes. So we'll go ahead and start out with this, though, with just a recap of Tuesday's primaries. Mainly the big one here is California. There were some other fairly interesting primaries across the country. I believe we had some stuff in Iowa. We had a surprising result there. We had some strange results in Mississippi, among other things. Relatively close, election in Montana, but we're going to mainly focus on California here because it's the most interesting one. So, going to throw it to Kraz. Obviously, we saw a bunch of results. We saw all these congressional primaries. We saw a statewide race. Republicans get a candidate for senator for the first time since 2010, statewide in California. Fairly big achievement for them. Says a lot about the state of the California Republican Party, of course, but they have that. You had that Chesa Boudin getting recalled in San Francisco. The LA mayoral race. So just take us through all of this. What are the key things that happen here that are interesting?
All right. So a lot of big races, a few things that I'm looking at. So statewide results, I would say when just looking at the partisan composition, because that's what we're kind of looking at now, there aren't really too many results in terms of who's advancing or too many surprises in terms of who's advancing. But I would say Democrats really underwhelmed in terms of their vote share statewide. So Republicans didn't really wow anyone, but these are some numbers that I think are kind of, a little bit concerning. So they only got 55% in the attorney general's race statewide. If you add in the Green Party, they only get 58%. Gubernatorial race, they only get 60%. In the Secretary of State's race, they get more if you add in the Green Party, about 61, 62%. The controller race is only about 57%. So I think they should be on track to win most of these races, obviously in November. But it's a little bit underwhelming statewide. And the reason it's kind of underwhelming is, Biden got, 65% statewide. On top of that, when you look at some of these Southern California races we're going to get into, Democrats are getting 60% statewide in California. Meanwhile, Republicans are getting 60% in California's 40th district, which was like Trump plus one, or maybe it was Biden plus one or something like that.
It was like Biden plus 1.8. It was
very
Biden plus two. It's a Biden plus two. Congressional district in suburban Southern California, and Republicans are getting 60, and Democrats are barely cracking 60% statewide in California. That's somewhat underwhelming. Obviously, the Chesa Boudin recall, big batch of votes just dropped. We're now at 179,000. He's narrowed the margin, but he's still losing by 13%, and so that's obviously over. We already knew that. So Boudin's going to be recalled. Definitely progressives in San Francisco facing some pretty serious backlash at this point, given the school board recall and now the Chesa recall and the failure of some progressive ballot initiatives in the city. So that was interesting. Other races in California, the congressional races are pretty interesting. So Mike Garcia and Christy Smith will go for round 3. Christy Smith is hoping it's third time's the charm. Republicans have to feel pretty good about that seat. They're getting over 50% of the combined vote. And Garcia is getting nearly 50% himself. We also got another drop, according to the New York Times, from the Central Valley's 22nd district, which is the David Valadao district. The margin between him and his main competitor is narrowing. He is now only up 3.9% on his main Republican competitor. That's going to be a tough race.
A big batch from two largest dropped in.
Yeah, so it's one of the only races Democrats might flip in the fall.
On the other hand, though, Democrats are only at 44% of the vote here. Obviously, though, this is a Biden seat, and you wouldn't want I don't believe Chris Mathis is Hispanic, and you definitely do not want someone who's not Hispanic running in that district.
Right. So that'll be one to watch as more votes come in. 40th district, we already talked about a little bit, but Asif Mahmood and Young Kim are going to advance. Democrats only getting 40% in that seat. That's way lower than in some other comparable seats we're going to go over in a minute. And so that makes me think that Kim is retaining a lot of that crossover appeal, and that's really in effect, and that's really her. The 41st district, somewhat surprising. Ken Calvert beats out his nearest Democratic competitor, but Democrats combined for over 50% of the vote in this seat. This is a pretty surprising result. I'll throw it to you guys in a minute. 45th district, Michelle Steele advances. No surprise there. Republicans again getting almost 60% combined in that seat. They got to feel pretty good about that. I think we just moved that one to likely or lean Republican.
Yeah, we just moved that one to lean Republican.
Lean Republican, yep. And then 47th district, Katie Porter advances, but she's only getting 51.4% of the vote. And against Scott Baugh, who's a strong challenger, ex-head of the Orange County GOP. And last one to look at is the 49th district. Mike Levin is advancing in this Orange County San Diego seat, but he only has exactly 50% of the vote. And Democrats only have 52% combined. So that's another interesting one to watch, might be on the radar.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anything notable from you guys now that I just ran through the kind of the surface level stuff?
Well, I do want to talk
about sorry.
I do want to bring up a couple mentions here to a couple of other Central Valley seats, not just the 22nd, but I also want to bring up the new 9th and 13th district. Now, from the new 9th, for some whatever reason, they are counting incredibly slowly. The AP and the New York Times only has them estimating about 21%, or maybe that's changed. This might have changed. Yeah, only estimating about 21% of their vote is in for some reason. For whatever reason, San Joaquin County is just not counting their ballots apparently very quickly. But again, Josh Harder doing maybe a little bit worse. Maybe I would have expected with some of these early numbers right now. Again, it's a lot left in San Joaquin. A lot of that can change. But certainly, maybe doing a little bit worse off with that early number and, in these small parts of Contra Costa and Stanislaus County that are in there. Tom Patty seems pretty likely to be the Republican to go up there and challenge Harder. He was the candidate Republicans wanted. He is currently a San Joaquin supervisor, I believe. He's the candidate Republicans wanted. We just recently shifted this seat from likely Democratic to leans Democratic. Even with Harder there, this is another seat that's kind of one of these Central Valley seats going to be interesting to watch here. But really what's kind of intrigued me is the 13th district, honestly. This is the one that's being relinquished by Harder, so that way he can go and replace Jerry McInerney in the 9th district. The 13th right now, we've got about half the vote in estimated right now. And the Democrats are around 51% of the vote right now, 51.5% of the vote right now between top vote getter Adam Gray and Phil Arballo. But John Duarte and David Giglio are around 46% of the vote themselves. And then you add on, of course, the other Alex is a Republican, another 3% there. It's basically a 51-49 vote split in that district right now. This is a race that we moved to leans Democratic a bit ago. Takes in parts of Fresno County, Madera, Merced, Stanislaus, and San Joaquin County. Merced, the biggest part of it, and Merced, I believe, is the biggest part of the district, I believe. But this is going to be another seat. Gray and Duarte are only separated by about 250 votes right now. Again, it seems pretty likely these two are going to be the candidates. That sets up, again, potentially a very interesting race in the Central Valley seat, which is certainly shaping up to potentially be maybe a more interesting area than Southern California this year when it comes to these key House races.
Mm-hmm. The race I wanted to look at is what Kraz had mentioned is the 41st district. I'm going to share my screen here just to give you an idea of why the seat is so weird. I think basically Democrats have been really mobilizing the seat. This is Barbara Boxer's home district. She lives in Palm Springs. The new 41st district, let's just be fairly blunt here. It makes no sense. It is a nonsensical district that was drawn by the commission for no reason other than to, in my opinion, disenfranchise Republicans in Riverside County.
No, I think it's more just a leftover seat. Like, I think it's really just like if you drew all the seats around it makes some sense. It's that I think this is just the leftovers.
This takes in Corona and it takes in Palm Springs and then everything. So basically what you have right now is this narrow Biden district. But if you look at everything around it, look at what they chopped out. Hemet makes much more sense in 41st than Palm Springs. I'm pretty sure Barbara Boxer would have been far more happy with Raul Ruiz. In fact, that's the reason Democrats are kind of mobilizing here is that they used to be in Raul Ruiz's district. So the way they drew it makes very, very little sense. It's not a geographically compact district. It doesn't make any real sense. I'm not necessarily sure I'd put too much stock in the primary for right now because I don't know where the votes are outstanding, but also Democrats were extremely, extremely mobilized in this primary to get the candidate they wanted. Calvert has a pretty proven track record of doing very well in Riverside County. I'll be shocked if this slips. The other one I wanted to mention, just as a miscellany, as another example of how terrible this commission did. Look at the 28th district here. It literally crosses the San Gabriel Mountains into multiple adjacent portions in San Bernardino County and LA County that are not connected by as far as I can tell by road. I really think these districts are terrible. I wanted to just rant about that real quick because it's abysmal. The map is abysmal. I think you can trace a lot of the weird results here to how little this map actually makes sense, especially in some of these places, Southern California, the Central Valley. I mean, the 13th. This is the nearly Biden district. I mean, it's not a nearly Biden. It's a Biden plus 13 or so district, but it's in parts of the Central Valley. You have the 22nd district. That's the Valadao seat. This is a seat Democrats thought they had a really, really good shot at. It takes in the most liberal parts of Bakersfield, but Republicans are outvoting them, 57-43. Now it's low Hispanic turnout in the primary. That's pretty typical. I think Valadao won like 60% of the vote in the primary in 2018 and still lost. So I don't put too much stock into this, but a lot of these really weird results, I want to see the full results actually come in so we can actually examine these because these are new districts. A lot of them are taking in areas that have nothing in common or that are new to people like Young Kim, her seat. A majority of Young Kim's voter base is not in her new district. It's a new district basically for her. That's why you had Greg Rath's doing pretty well there despite being kind of a lunatic. Not really kind of a lunatic, a lunatic. And even, Michelle Steele, she got 50% in her seat. Another just random, a Republican got another 10%. So, we'll see. I really thought, though, the most interesting one was the LA mayoral primary, where you have the actual general be between Karen Bass and Rick Caruso. Rick Caruso being a former Republican, Karen Bass being a prominent LA County Democrat. We'll see how this goes. There's clearly some sort of crime sentiment in LA County and in the city of LA, but we'll have to see until the general election, of course.
I do just want to bring up a little bit of a weird result here that I've seen so far. Only about 52% of the district is reporting, but I want to bring up Grace Napolitano's 31st district. For some reason, the Republican there with over half the vote is still pulling around 39% of the vote right now. I think this was like a Biden plus a lot district. I think Trump only got like 30% of the vote here. Obviously, what's remaining could be for some deep blue areas that would totally change that, but I just think it's interesting right now. We kind of see a Republican doing slightly better than maybe you would expect in that seat. It's not going to change anything. It's a safety seat, but I bet, like Eric said, it's the story of these California primaries that sometimes with the way that they hold their primaries and the way they do them, you can have some real results and kind of see some interesting things. I think there was a seat on the coast, I think last year, Republican pulled over 40% in the primary and then got absolutely slapped around in the general.
The Grace Napolitano seat, I think that's a very, 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 very Hispanic seat. That's probably part of it is either low turnout or Hispanics in general. I know that the new district, Ruiz running in that new district that is basically has Imperial County and a bunch of areas. The Democrats actually aren't doing that hot in Imperial County right now, which is, again, another case of either low Hispanic turnout or a genuine Hispanic trend away from Democrats. So we're really not sure. But I have to actually – I'm going to look at the exact detail. Or not Juan Vargas, I think, is the Juan Vargas in the 52nd district. I won't actually find the exact county totals here. I know Democrats aren't doing too hot in Imperial County, which is a very Hispanic county. Raul Ruiz is only in the 25th district is at 59.7%. And then a bunch of other Republicans. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the exact results here. The website is being a little bit troublesome for me. The other ones. What? Come on. Sorry, the website's deciding to be a little bit of a annoyance for me here. But yeah, it basically, I think a lot of this is, turnout, it's new populations, it's all a bunch of other factors. Yeah, Republicans are at about 40% of the vote, or total, over 40% of the vote in the 25th district. In Imperial County, Ruiz is at 58% according to DDHQ. This may actually be different. I don't know if the website's still updating. I think this Washington Post has a lot more votes in the Decision Desk right now. Take that as you will. But yeah, I think a lot of this is just Hispanic turnout issues. At least that's what it seems like to me. Anything else we want to go over California before we go into our election ratings update?
I don't believe so.
No, I'll go.
All right, let's go into our election ratings then. So Joe will go over
Ooh.
these. We had a bunch of election updates today. We updated the ratings. All of the seats are on the board now. Deck, we can actually show you, thanks to our unexpected friends at 270 to win. Our pundit forecast is now included on their list of forecasts. We can actually show you our map.
Hooray!
We can actually show you the map of
Ooh. Wave the flag.
projections
Good
right
moment.
now.
Wave the flag.
We project currently that Republicans are favored in 220 districts, Democrats in 194, and then another 21 districts are rated as toss-ups right now. This doesn't include the flips. This does not show those. Like, for example, some of these seats we're talking about in California have these ratings. But what are our changes here, Joe? What have we looked at? And what are we keeping an eye on in upcoming election?
Eric, let's start with obviously the response to the California election. So if you could try and zoom in on California potentially, that would be pretty cool. I don't know if you can do that, but that would be a...
Oh, I can't. I just got to actually manually zoom in here.
Brilliant. So we're going to start in that 9th district. In the 9th district, we changed that race from a likely Democrat to leans Democrat. Obviously, we talked about that a little bit. Again, this is a double-digit Biden seat, but again, we've talked about that many times here on this show about just the how the Central Valley has been one of those places where it's been a little bit weird in recent elections, especially midterm elections. So this is exactly the type of new seat where Republicans potentially be seen as favorable. Josh Harder actually moved here technically from the 13th district to the 9th district to kind of give himself a better chance at re-election. He's replacing retiring Congressman Jerry McNerney in that 9th district, which now makes the 13th district an open district. That's where moderate Adam Gray and John Duarte are facing off each other. Another leans Democratic seat. You kind of see there kind of this truly central part of the state that just kind of cuts down here, the 9th, the 13th, and the 22nd. Really, that's where it seems to be potentially more of the interesting congressional races could be in California this year than Southern California, where we're much more used to seeing interesting congressional races play out. Doesn't mean it's not there. Another move, we also moved the 27th district from toss-up to leans Republican. I understand this was maybe a bit more of a ballsy move, as some would say, compared to some of the rest of our changes, but we feel it's warranted. I think from what we've seen so far and what it's continued to be like, Republicans are having a stronger than expected performance in this district in the primary, especially considering the fact it got 2 points bluer in redistricting. Garcia is a candidate that has overperformed our expectations before. This is a wave year. Again, he outperformed President Trump by with just enough, which was around 10 points, to win this seat in 2020 again. He's a guy who's overperformed expectations quite a good bit before, especially in this northern Los Angeles County area. It's really kind of interesting to see here. And again, Christy Smith has kind of proven time and time again to just not be that interesting of a challenger for Democrats against Garcia. She's failed twice. I know that third time, just the charm is kind of the statement. But that might be more example for sporting events, in my opinion, than it has ever been for politics, where when you get known as a loser in politics, it usually sticks with you a little bit longer. And that does hurt with the voters. That's one of those things that does hurt with the voters, in my opinion. So we've moved that one to leans Republican. We've also done 2 changes in Orange County-based districts. The 40th district moved from leans Republican to likely Republican. This is based off the fact that Young Kim won her primary decision, while the AP and the New York Times haven't called it yet. The new Decision Desk HQ has said it'll be Asif Mahmood and Young Kim in this seat. This was a seat that if Kim won, we were planning on moving to likely Republican anyway. Just because Kim is someone, again, very strongly overperformed Donald Trump in her old seat back in 2020 to win her election against Gil Cisneros, which I believe was the old 38th district. I believe, if I remember correctly here. Some of the numbers were shaken up in California, so I'm trying to remember here. But either way here, though, again, Democrats, getting pretty heavily outvoted here by Republicans in this seat. This is only about a Biden +2 seat in Orange County, where we've seen Republican down ballot lag be pretty strong. Kim, again, is someone who has shown to overperform, especially within the Asian communities in the district. This was kind of a seat that was certainly drawn a little bit more as kind of what was as close to a Republican's kind of sort of Republican sink in and around Orange County as you can get nowadays. it was drawn that way to a certain extent. So Kim was always the prohibitive favorite again. Again, this is the only seat that wasn't a toss-up seat. This was a lean seat already. We think with Kim in the driver's seat, and again, the current environment, certainly definitely a likely Republican seat right now. And we also have shifted the 45th district. Michelle Steele's seat, again, Republicans certainly doing better in the primary vote than we previously expected. And I think there are, some accurate questions about Jay Chen as a candidate now. That kind of started showing up. He was caught at an event mocking Steele's accent. Steele has an accent as a Vietnamese immigrant, which doesn't seem to be the smartest move in a district that has a pretty decent-sized Vietnamese population. But, as goes the breaks, there's been some questions about Jay's strength as a candidate since then.
Just to correction, she's South Korean, not Vietnamese.
Excuse me, South Korean. Excuse me. I apologize for that.
Yeah.
But again, Steele, mocking accents is just a generally bad idea. We saw it with, I think the greatest example is probably George Allen's infamous macaca error.
No, you're forgetting David Perdue wasn't an accent, but it was a name thing.
David Perdue was the Kamala. Which I think that also kind of correlated with a beginning downtrend.
That's gotta be, by the way, like probably one of his biggest regrets in life, because he missed the runoff by like 0.2. He missed avoiding a runoff by like 0.3%. And who knows if he doesn't go viral for making fun of Kamala Harris's name.
Yeah, enough Facebook moms don't see that and they cast their ballot for him. Yeah, but I was actually going to mention that, obviously, but Chen arguably, I think, has been, since that event, kind of been looked at with wary eyes by voters in the area. Again, it's pretty significant, even though the vote's not all in. Still, we can, extrapolate certainly a bit that Republicans are overperforming our expectations here. And then we did have a shift towards the Democrats here. This was fixing what was a mistake that we made. We did move the 41st district from likely to safe Republicans about 2 months ago, back in April. We moved it back on the board pretty clearly, like Eric said, especially with Palm Springs. Democrats have been pretty heavily organizing in that area in response to kind of being put into this new
Trump plus one seat.
Ken Calvert is certainly going to have to campaign for the first time in his recent life. That's for sure, in his recent career. But he hasn't slept on fundraising, which I think is crucial to mention. Calvert still does have I believe, a good $1.7 million in the bank in preparation for the general election. He is certainly going to be here and certainly be active, I think, in that regards, especially I would bet on the air in this area. This is a fully Riverside district as well. I don't believe this takes in any parts of Orange or San Diego County at all.
Yeah, it's just Riverside.
So Calvert does have, again, a pretty strong name ID there. I think it could be very interesting. I think the result could be tighter than we were expecting, but I think the real race for this seat's probably going to come in 2024, not this year in 2022, but we did want to put it on the board because we do think this is not like a California 23 or California 50 or California 48 as you see down below there right now, because I think they shifted 50 accidentally from that would be who's that's not Sarah Jacobs, who's the Scott Peters, excuse me.
Scott Peters.
Northern San Diego County seat there. But it's not like a Daryl Issa or a Jay Olbernold or McClintock, LaMalfa, or McCarthy seat. This is certainly a seat that's going to be interesting, and we're certainly keeping an eye on it for 2022 still. And then we have changes everywhere else. Sticking to the West Coast, we're going to go to Oregon here. We did make a shift in Oregon's 5th district. We changed that from leans Democratic to toss-up. This is not because, I want to repeat this again, this is not, as I said in the article, this is not because of Jamie McLeod Skinner primarying Kurt Schrader in this seat. If it was, we would have made this change about 3 weeks ago when we had our last ratings update. We would have made that change then. This is just because this is an environment deal. This is an environment that kind of continues to look even as it stays stagnant. We're not seeing really any improvement from the Biden administration. Obviously, the news dropped today that inflation went up by a pretty strong number again today. I believe another 1% inflation growth, which is bad. That's certainly not a good thing. So again, this is kind of just an environment-based seat. Salem, I should say the Salem area has been one of the few areas in Oregon that has been known to kind of be maybe the more purplish areas compared to kind of everywhere else where Bend's just kind of turned into a solid blue, and you got, Eugene and Corvallis, again, pretty solid blue area. Salem's in that one area that's certainly kind of been willing to swing back and forth at all levels between Republicans and Democrats for the most part. So we're changing this week to toss up. We think this is probably the race to watch in Oregon this year compared to the 4th and the 6th district. We have both of those at likely Democratic right now. The 4th district could maybe be interesting, but we doubt it. The 5th is probably the key congressional race to watch right now for sure in Oregon, and we wanted to make a rating that solidified that. And then I believe going now towards the East Coast, in Connecticut, we had 2 changes there. We changed both Connecticut 2nd district, Connecticut's 5th district, from toss-up to, from likely Democratic to leans Democratic. Both of these races kind of are basically really kind of the only 2 seats without true major population area within them or surrounding one. The first has Bridgeport, I believe. The third, or is it the third? The third, I believe, has New Haven, and then the 4th obviously has the
Gold Coast.
What?
Yeah. 4th is you're right. It's adjacent to population centers. The 5th district, but the 2nd is really they take in a bit of the area around central Connecticut, but they don't take up a bunch. And they also have more Republican areas, Republican cities, strongly Republican counties, or at least in the case of the 5th district, more Republican areas. The polling actually has been pretty abysmal for Democrats in Connecticut because the senator, Richard Blumenthal, is apparently having to campaign and spend money, which is not a good sign so far early. Again, we're really skeptical. I don't even think we have Connecticut on the board in the Senate race yet, but he is spending money, and that's not a good sign. In a deep blue state, you generally don't do that this early if you're not a little bit concerned about the state of your party and state of your race.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was part of the reason why we gave this. If there's races that are going to be competitive in Connecticut, it would be the 2nd and the 5th district. Again, not really based within any deep blue city. They have some more rural areas to their borders there, especially the 2nd district. The 2nd district, as you get closer to Rhode Island, there on its border, there are areas and towns over there that are significantly more Republican than the rest of the state, that's for sure. And then if we would go on, then I believe we would move on then to Pennsylvania. We made an off-the-board change here for basically an off-the-board change here for Democrats in a Republican-held seat. We changed Pennsylvania's 10th congressional district from likely Republican to safe Republican. This is only a Biden +4 seat, I should say.
Trump +4.
Trump +4 seat, excuse me, but I think really the big issue here for Democrats here is that they're playing so much defense in Pennsylvania. They're competing in a very highly competitive Senate race, highly competitive governor's race. They're defending 3 seats that they already hold in the 8th, the 7th, and the 10th. Even outside groups haven't brought up the 10th. They've been focusing on the 8th, the 7th, and the 17th there in Western Pennsylvania. These are kind of the seats that's, and the 10th seems to be a seat that seems to likely be over forgotten this year. I think it's a seat that's going to be very, very competitive and interesting in 2024, especially with Scott Perry in that seat. But I just think this year, with the type of year we're having, where Democrats' eyes are going to be across the rest of the state, it's very, very hard for me to see that this seat is on the board. And so that's why we're taking it off the board here into from likely to safe Republican. And then we're going to go to the Midwest to really kind of end us off here in Illinois. We moved the 6th district from likely Democratic to lean Democratic. The 6th is kind of still this weird district where it does take in some white working class parts of the Cook County, of the Chicago suburbs that did trend rightwards in 2020 still. There are some interesting parts of this seat, especially in that eastern part / southern part of that seat that are slightly more that are certainly more Republican and trending a little bit more towards purple than considering the rest of the area. This is a seat where if Sean Casten wins, we could certainly see it moving back towards the likely column. But if Marie Newman is the candidate here, this is a seat that's probably going to be pretty squarely put in the leans Democratic column. This is an area where we're kind of interested to see how Republicans do here. It's really kind of the really truly only competitive Chicago suburb seat we think this year. They did the gerrymander, the Democratic gerrymander around the area, did a pretty good job, we think, in most of the other seats, even especially more in Underwood's 14th district, where Republicans have struggled to find a pretty solid challenger there to Underwood in that seat. So that's why that one isn't likely Democrat still, and we still have the 6 now. It leans Democratic. Now we're going to go to Iowa. This was a change that most other forecasters made as well. The 3rd district moved from a toss-up to lean Republican after State Senator Zach Nunn from the Des Moines area won his Republican primary and officially became the nominee. That was to be expected, but that was the change we made now, though. Remember, it's fair to remember that the 3rd district is technically a very narrow Trump seat. It's Trump by only like 1,000 votes or something like that, but it is a Trump seat. Nunn is probably going to be the strongest candidate. I think he probably is stronger than David Young is in this seat, just based on where Nunn is from. Actually, is certainly not a weak incumbent anymore in shape or form. She certainly has maybe slightly overperformed our expectations in previous races, but Axne is going to have a lot of trouble with Nunn here. We think she's probably an underdog in this seat by this point. This is probably this is definitely a seat right now that if the elections were to happen today, that Republicans we would see flipping and adding to their potential House majority. And then in Minnesota's 1st district, this was a hedge based on the fact, just in case Carnahan won the primary for the special election. She finished a pretty distant 3rd. With that in mind, we think that it's pretty likely that this is a seat that's off the board this year. This is a nearly Trump double-digit seat. It's about Trump plus 9.3. It's pretty hard for us to see the 1st district being on the board this year without Carnahan being the candidate, kind of that boogeyman candidate there. For Democrats, without that, it's pretty hard for us to see Democrats attacking the seat, focusing on the seat, and kind of, again, they might have some polling came out today from Change that showed Democrats might be in more danger in Minnesota than maybe we previously thought, especially in some of the down ballot races. I'm mentioning really attorney generals here seems to potentially be another really key race this year. And then finally in the Southwest in New Mexico, we moved New Mexico's 3rd district from likely to lean Democratic. This is again kind of based on, this is a Democratic gerrymander that in a good Republican year could potentially backfire. So not a dummy mander by any aspects theoretically, but it's certainly one that could backfire in a wave year. With the way that they've drawn the 2nd to now be a Democratic seat, that does mean that the 3rd district is a seat that now votes about even with the state voted about, even with the state on the presidential level in 2020, along with the Senate race as well. And with Mark Ronchetti being the GOP governor nominee right now, and that governor's race being the only statewide race in Mexico this year, there's no Senate race there this year. It's certainly plausible that the 3rd will feel more effects from that governor's race than maybe other states will, where they're going to be more affected by a Senate race potentially. Ronchetti's obviously a very strong candidate. We have that race rated as lean Democratic right now between him and Michelle Grisham in that governor's race right now. It's one of the more highly anticipated ones we're expecting to watch this year. And, it just felt like it was time for that seat to kind of be respected by this. Again, if we expect the governor's race to be close, which we do, we think that this 3rd district, just based on the way it's drawn, I wish we could have DRA up right now, because if you could see the way they drew the seat, there's a big county in the western part of that district, in the northwest corner there. I forget what the county name was called, but it's a pretty heavily Republican district. And then it takes in a lot of very heavy Republican area on the eastern side there, which was, again, done to, kind of hurt Yvette Harrell and try and take her out this year in 2022. Again, one of the few Democratic pickup opportunities that are potentially there this year. But certainly an interesting race is potentially brewing in the 3rd district. Again, a seat that voted pretty evenly with Democratic margin statewide. Again, with the type of tightness we're expecting in New Mexico this year. This is a race we're putting on the board to watch. And that's it. Those are the 14 changes we had this year.
Yep. So, yeah, that's a lot of changes, a lot to go over there, but it's a pretty comprehensive look at them. So now we're going to go ahead and shift our wheels a little bit with our remaining time, go over a couple things. First off, Michigan. We had a gubernatorial candidate get arrested. This is quickly turning into a dumpster fire of a primary for Republicans.
It was already a dumpster fire.
Yeah, James Craig has announced he's going to write in a campaign for governor in the primary. That would probably be Republicans' best choice out of the bunch. But yeah, go ahead, tell us a little bit about Kelly here. It's a bit of a problem. It's a bit of a problem for sure.
Yeah, he's bad. Who knew
Yep.
that trespassing on January 6th in the Capitol was bad? Who could have guessed that would have gotten someone in trouble? I mean, who among us could have guessed that?
Well,
No.
I think what was kind of funny about it was that like he was at January 6th and he didn't he portrayed it as like a positive thing, right? Like he was like I think there were some questions about it, and he wasn't like, that wasn't me, or I regret that, or I didn't know what was going on. He was like, fuck yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was. Yeah, and then he got arrested. So there's that.
Stupid. Michigan is screwed up. And this is pretty damning, considering I think too this is the fact this is the chair of the RNC, Ronna McDaniel's home state. The fact that you're not able to get your own home state GOP in order to nominate sane and solid candidates is a pretty sad thing. It's kind of you had to have your own house in order to have everyone else in order.
Mhm.
And it's a real problem in these Midwestern states. It's becoming a real problem right now that Republicans statewide kind of keep nominating these nut jobs. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine Matt DePerno for Attorney General Michigan, and got Doug Mastriano for governor in Pennsylvania. Dear God, it's kind of at this point it's kind of like, what the hell are we doing? It's not really helping matters here.
I think they're hoping that rising tide lifts all ships, right? Like if this is like an R+5 year, right, which would be like 10 points more Republican than 2020, these candidates would have to be like 4 to 5 points below replacement level. In terms of, we're talking wins below replacement. Like it's got to be.
I think that's theoretically possible for these guys. Some of these guys are A-ball players trying to play in the majors.
Yeah, so I mean, is Doug Mastriano 5 points below replacement candidate?
You could argue that. I think
you could argue that. And Kelly, what's kind of, I mean, the GOP probably isn't very happy about this. Kelly got arrested and then immediately got out of jail. Literally got out of jail. He got bailed out by DePerno, who's their attorney general nominee, and got out of jail and was like, yep, like I'm a patriot, whatever. And now he's going on Tucker Carlson tonight. And
God.
presumably, I think he's trying to get the Trump endorsement, which would be like, I mean, it just a dumpster fire because not only did a bunch of their candidates get eliminated, the one who was left, who was considered like a more serious politician, Tudor Dixon, she's getting like no traction whatsoever. So,
God bless Michigan. Full of dipshits. I always thought Michigan was the worst Rust Belt.
Well, this happens, right? Like in 2018, I mean, Arizona should have been a close gubernatorial race. And actually the polls had Ducey in danger for a while, but Democrats blew it with who they nominate that year? Was it Garcia?
David Garcia.
They blew it.
Horrendous candidate.
Blew it. Obviously you have the New England or the Northeast GOP governors who, Scott, Sununu, Hogan, who outperformed by a lot. But when you look at even some other swing states, like, I mean, Pennsylvania was way bluer than it had any right to be in 2018. And a lot of that was probably candidate quality. So yeah, this does happen, and especially in gubernatorial races, which are less partisan than Senate and House races. Bad candidates can drag you down.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we've held off. We discussed pretty heavily internally. The state of Michigan, we're holding off until after the primary. Again, this is a horrendous national environment for Democrats. Whitmer has decent approvals, but I don't think they're not incredible. Biden is really, really unpopular in Michigan. There's the price again. There's so many factors here. We want to see who the nominee is and see how they campaign before we do anything here. But if it's Kelly, I think it'd be pretty abundantly clear we'd be moving this thing into the Democratic column immediately. The moment it happens.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be a hard decision. Let me tell you that would not be a hard decision.
Yep.
It's just a mess. Just a mess.
Yep. And so now we got a new topic. We have a new segment, at least for tonight, that Kraz wanted to go over with us. Specifically here, I Actually, I'm kind of completely blanking. What was it we were going to go over?
Pet peeves.
Yeah, pet peeves. Yep. I think
Yep.
I could go into California again. I really hate that map. Really hate it. It's awful. The more I look at it, the more I hate it. The more I'm
Wait,
convinced.
not how slow it counts.
No, it's the slowness is bad. It's the fact that it's slow counting in districts that are just so awful. You have no idea how anything's going to go. I mean, the Central Valley is butchered. Orange County, Riverside County butchered. The 28th district or whatever makes no sense whatsoever. They split Northern LA County for no reason, and I think it's showing in these results. Obviously, there's a bit of a shakeup with these election results, right? You have candidates doing different in different regions, having to campaign different places. It's not because the places make more sense. It's just because a lot of them are just leftover districts or just complete nonsense. I mean, the decisions they made may be defensible, but you also got to consider other districts first. I think they had specific set ideas of what districts they wanted to draw. And then rather than considering holistically how this would impact everything else and what's the best fit overall, they were like, well, we want to draw a district that's Imperial County and Riverside County. And if that means we have to have the 42nd district stretch all the way from the most Republican portion of Riverside County to Palm Springs, so be it. We want 4 Hispanic seats in the Central Valley that vote Democratic. If that means we have to draw little tentacles into the Fresno area from Bakersfield, that's what we got to do. I'm gonna slow down here because I'm getting really heated. I'm gonna say it's just the more I look at this,
that is relatively heated for Eric. I want to say, who's a relatively calm individual. This is pretty heated for him.
It's not like New York where the decisions are at least defensible and it's not impacting anything. I think people are communities are going to be genuinely underserved by this map. I think it's not a good map, and it reflects down ballot as well.
I got a lot of problems with you people. I have, and this is my Festivus, damn it. You know, let me think. Pet peeves in the world. Oh boy, I have a lot of them. I'm not going to say all of them because this is being recorded out live and we put it on our YouTube channel. And I don't want to get in trouble because I graduate in a year, a job, at some location. So I'm not going to say all my pet peeves. But let me think. A big pet peeve of mine right now in politics, I am going to go with California counting the ballots. Statewide, it's about 3 days after the election now, and they barely have over 50% statewide. And it's around 56%, I think, statewide right now.
Mm-hmm.
In California. What are you doing? Go count your ballots, dang it. Oh, it's around 60%. Okay, it's around 60% is reporting right now.
It doesn't. It's so slow. It's so slow.
Come on. Just feed the book.
No, you know what it is? Because California receives ballots really, really late because they just have to be postmarked by election day. And I think that a lot of election offices just kind of use that as an excuse to be like, we'll count some, whatever. And granted, these counties are big, so they do have a lot of ballots to count. But also at the same time, they don't really process mail ballot. I mean, they process some mail ballots before poll closing, but they don't process that many. They don't really have a strict receipt deadline. Also, there's just no pressure. Even in states where they only have to be postmarked by the day, like Pennsylvania, all the ballots are counted by the day after, and then they're just waiting if more come in. That's what California should be doing. Mm-hmm. But instead, they're just kind of whatever. They're counting ballots that came in the day of the election, 2 weeks later. It's just ridiculous.
It makes no sense, and it's just genuinely poor election administration. We've seen Texas, we've seen Florida. Big states can have competent and quick election counting. North Carolina is another big state. We count all our ballots, all our mail ballots at once. We dump them at the start of the night, and then the election day votes come in the rest of the night.
Right.
It seems to work pretty well. We have big counties here too. If Mecklenburg County, which has 1 million people, can count all their votes in one night, I fail to see how Kern County or Fresno cannot count their votes in one night.
The problem is that California, again, like I said, the ballots don't have to be received by the day of the election. The problem,
at least count what's there. At least count what's there.
Count what's there. The other problem I have with it is it's okay to have a receipt deadline. I know that a lot of people think that's voter suppression, but it is okay to have a receipt deadline, right? Especially in California, because when I lived there, we used to just walk our ballots over to the polling place on the day of the election, right? Because It's a few blocks away. You can literally drop your ballot off at the polling place. And there are other, it's really easy to drop it off. I don't really understand why they're doing this thing where like it encourages people to like mail it out at like 4 p.m. on election day and then have it like sit in the mail for 10 days. It's like the worst ridiculous thing in the world.
It's almost like there could be a system where, maybe you just go to the election polling center and you drop your ballot off there. And then
so
counted.
they have that. That's what's wild to me. Like they have that. And that's what I used to do, right? Because it's easy, right? I don't want to like fiddle around with like mailing it, but like, it's like, it's wild. Like even if you're across the country, that ballot should be no more than 3 days to get it back to California if you mail it on the day of the election.
Yeah, it's not like you're mailing it from Cambodia or something. I mean, it's going to get there. It's going to get there sooner rather than later.
Wait, can I go into my pet peeve now?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Go right ahead.
All right. Wait. So mine. I said this in our chat today. This is why I thought of the segment is like messaging, because one thing that just like sends me up the wall is when parties are like, why did we win this message? We knocked so many doors, like we did XYZ. It drives me up the wall because like it's all circular. Like in 2018, it was healthcare. This year, it's going to be critical race theory. Like in 2018, it was like, well, why did you win? Oh, because of our healthcare message. Well, how do you know the healthcare message was effective? Oh, well, because we won.
Yeah.
So,
we won because this. That's all it is.
It's all circular, and then like with the like sometimes the critical race theory stuff, and then also with healthcare, it becomes this like oh well, like our guys are just geniuses, like we're genius strategists, right?
No,
like,
you're not. You just got a good year, buddy.
Yeah. And so like I remember saying this today, I was like there has been a midterm penalty for the party in power almost every single election since the end of the Second World War. I want you to consider whether or not what scenario is more likely here, that the out party happens to hit on just the right message every single time by coincidence, or that there's just like an unavoidable midterm penalty that like marginally changes one way or the other. Like marginally you might get like.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
It's not really like you can have a more or less impressive midterm. I do think there are changes on the margin, but like this whole like we're winning all these seats because like XYZ, it's just like ridiculous. Like, and especially because like I remember in 2018, Republicans were like, we're gonna run on Nancy Pelosi. Look at 2010. Look at 2014. We we tied all these Democrats and Nancy Pelosi. We're going to do that again. Then they got crushed, and suddenly I haven't seen a single ad about Nancy Pelosi.
Because Abigail Spanberger was like, "I'm not Nancy Pelosi," and it's like, well, how do I respond to that?
God damn it, Dave Brett! Okay. Now
you got me.
Brought up. Now 2 pet peeves have been brought up. Number 1, Virginia Republicans. We're gonna go all the way back to 2014 here. These stupid mother effers in the Richmond suburbs primaried Eric Cantor for Dave Brett, and we let a potential Speaker of the House go for some no-name professor from a no-name college in Randolph-Macon. I mean, what the heck? Imagine if we had Eric Cantor as Speaker in Virginia, the Silver Line would be done by this point. This is, being delayed until 2022, 2023, 2024. No, the goddamn Silver Line would be done. It would be finished. We'd have all that beautiful pork money coming in. And then number 2, these goddamn audit the vote groups in Pennsylvania. We still have an election that's still being contested, and this lady lost it by like 4,000 votes in the state house primary because the vote's still claiming fraud in certain precincts because they think that for some reason there's fraud and not just that their candidate lost. And this group calls themselves a nonpartisan group, that they don't support any candidates when that's clearly false. It's nonsense, and I'm tired of it, God damn it.
But no,
This won't get me in trouble because a lot of people agree with me even though they won't say it out loud.
The funny thing that
people are morons. Let me put it to you very bluntly here. These people are morons, accustoming to this is basically dipshittery here, what we are seeing. Because again, when a guy loses by 20 points and another one of your candidates loses by 40 points, that just means that your people didn't connect with enough voters.
Yeah, when Candace Taylor got 3% of the vote, the reason she got 3% of the vote is not because Brian Kemp was taking all of her votes. It's because nobody liked her.
Yeah, that too. Like, what the hell? Like, Jesus Christ, who the hell is this crazy woman? Well, I knew she was a crazy woman. I saw like just a crazy bitch. But anyways, you know,
She got 3% of the vote.
About these people,
it's absolutely ridiculous. But what I want to say is to go back to what Kraz is saying, even to like actual presidential elections. So much of this is beyond the control of parties. Is the reason that Obama won by 7% of the vote in 2008, which is really good, but also pretty bad, generally speaking, by historical standards in that sort of an economy. Is the reason he won by a large margin in that election because he had the most amazing messaging thing of all time, just this complete revolutionary, or because the economy was literally in the toilet and the Republicans were in charge when the economy went into the toilet? Like, which of those is more important? Like, which of those is more important? I would say the economy probably matters. You put Hillary Clinton, she's going to win that election. You put any Democrat, they're probably going to win that election. Like,
I don't know, John Edwards probably could have.
Yeah, well, there's degrees of impressiveness there, but like when the economy is that bad, it's just that bad. There was only so much you can do to win, and there's only so much messaging you can do to win, to do stuff on top of that. Like elections in that state, we forget how close Democrats were to not getting a supermajority. Gordon Smith lost in Oregon because of a Constitution Party candidate. Almost won a federal election in Oregon in 2008. That is absurd. Republicans almost had a Senate seat there in 2000. Like, so much of this is outside of control, and so much of this relies on things that don't involve messaging at all. I don't know. I think when you look at things, you got to account for the fact there's a midterm penalty. It's almost always bad. When it's not bad, you can predict when it's not going to be bad. You've had two examples of it. You had 1998 when Republicans impeached a very popular president for reasons the public did not like, and they did not do well in the midterm because of that. And it's very, very apparent that's the reason. 2002, 9/11. That's literally it. And even then, 2002 is not some amazing wave Republican year. Like they lost a ton of states, gubernatorial races, Senate races, House races. They just won some other stuff too. So much of this is just when you are the party in power, the out party is going to do pretty good in a midterm. That's just how it is. You can change that, but I can say, January 6th messaging, it's not going to matter much to people if the price of gas is $6. It costs them $10. Costs $10 to get a Big Mac. Like, is that really going to matter too much? Like,
I don't know. Hey, I want to keep my rant going. I feel like I was very like let's keep about these goddamn idiots. It's now we have this flow of idiot moron candidates. We can't believe that they lose because everything is now voter fraud. No, it's called that. It's not just knocking doors that can win you candidates. I don't care who the hell told you that if you knock 10,000 doors, you win an election. That's not how it goddamn works. You can knock as many goddamn doors as you want. It's called you're going to have to spend some goddamn money on Facebook advertisements too. And, maybe some TV ads and not just on electronic billboards that switch the message every 5 seconds. That's not how it works, damn it. It's not how you win an election. And we have idiot grassroots people on the Republican side who are now following the leftist side of organizing is all we need to do. No, we lose that way. That is how we fail. Okay.
I do think also it's kind of funny, or I don't know. I was saying that we haven't even gotten to Arizona yet, which could be like a really I don't know what's gonna happen.
Arizona.
What's gonna happen if Blake Masters and Carrie Lake lose?
We have fucking Carrie Lake and Blake Masters. God Lord.
But yeah, so yeah, that I'm glad I was able to trigger this rant about messaging because I think a lot of this is just baked in, right? Like I remember and I do think also a lot of it's baked in, and a lot of it, I think a stronger evidence for it too is that a lot of it is so uniform across districts, right? So when you look at 2018, I think Democrats won pretty much every single seat that was Trump +5 or bluer. When you looked at 2020, a lot of the demographic shifts across groups, across regions were pretty similar. There were some differences, but they were pretty similar across regions. And so I think that's strong evidence that it's not this one message or this one whatever, right? A lot of it is just kind of baked in.
No, the Democrats won in 2020, not because voters thought the orange man was bad. but because voters wanted and demanded revolutionary economic and political change at all levels of government. That's why they handed Democrats the strongest majority in Senate history with 50 senators. And that's what they gave them. They gave them a historic House majority of like 10 members. They wanted revolutionary change.
Yeah, and that was also really wild to me because it was like at the end of the day, like people had all these like fights about it, but it was like, I mean, the strongest thing for Democrats is that Trump was just like a fundamentally unpopular president, and like was just like it's actually kind of remarkable that like after all the fights about like no, like you have to say you want to abolish ICE. That was like the litmus test for like 10 minutes. Remember from 2018, like you have to want to abolish ICE or else like you're not really advocating for progress. And then it was like you had to want to defund the police or something. Like I don't know. It was defunding everything. And then like and then like you know, and then at the end of the day, it's like, you know, they probably just won because like Trump was fundamentally unpopular.
And
Because Orange Man Bad. He won. Literally, he won because Orange Man Bad.
That they thought.
It is, yes.
They thought that they were going to get these large supermajorities. That's what polling said, basically. You know, that they were, we're going to win Maine and North Carolina
and South
all
Carolina
these states, and South Carolina, and maybe even though some resistors thought they were going to break through in Kentucky, but everyone else knew that was crap.
Oh, some resistors think they broke through in Kentucky still to this day.
There were South Carolina and Montana and Alaska. They were going to have 55 Senate seats based on a majority in Montana, South Carolina, and Alaska, goddammit. And then
Kansas.
I forgot about Kansas. Can't forget that Barbara Bollier would have totally crushed Roger Marshall because he's totally the same dude as Chris Kobach. Totally the same guy. Definitely won't have any effect by the fact that Republicans did not nominate Chris Kobach. No effect was seen there. And then that they were going to win all these House races. I mean, we fell for the bait. Let's be very blunt here. We did not do as bad as some other
we never moved anything ridiculous past likely, and those races were in the likely threshold.
Well, I'm talking about the House races. We did very good in the Senate races. Let's be very real.
Honestly, my only regret was that we never moved South. Ever moved South Carolina out of safe Republican. That is my biggest regret from 2020.
I think it was like 10. I think didn't Graham win like by 10?
Republicans always win by 10 in South Carolina.
Yeah, and the polls were closer, so like that was like that was like close enough.
But no, the House, it was so weird. It was such a weird election. People thought the messaging was so great, and they, the knocking. I mean, I don't know. I think some people are going to be very sorely disappointed when they find out the limits of organizing in 2022. Door knocking, in particular. You know, we have the Nina Turner campaign, who still does not seem to understand that you need to spend money on television advertising in order to win an election. Like when that's your baseline, like if we just knock the most doors and put up the most yard signs, we're going to win because that's how the elections are decided, by whoever has the most yard signs. No, it's not. We had a sheriff candidate here. We had a sheriff candidate here for the Republican primary. I swear, 80% of yard signs that were for the sheriff election in the county for the Republican primary were for this guy, and he lost 2-1. They don't matter. Yard signs don't matter. It don't.
Actually, I just saw a tweet on this, and I think we didn't talk about it. Can we talk about Michael Cassidy in Mississippi's
he's crazy
congressional district? Wait, I want to be clear about his combination of policies. I make no comment on the merit of these policies. I would just like to dispassionately give you his combination of policies. So among some things, he wants a 10-year moratorium on all immigration, legal and illegal. Like no one's coming into the country. He also wants a national paid maternity leave program where women who had children get 5 years of benefits. Unclear how much leave they get, but they get 5 years of benefits. He apparently wants, I saw something he wanted Medicare for all.
Yeah, he wanted everyone to be able to apply for Medicare regardless of age.
Yeah, so he wants Medicare for all. He wants every couple that gets married to get a $20,000 loan from the government that they only pay back if they divorce. Unclear if it's gay and straight or just straight. We haven't done an interview with him yet. And universal basic income for families with children. So if you have a child, you get either $250 or $500 a month per child, depending on the age of the child, but only if you are married as the parents. So you marry someone with kids, shit out of luck. But those, and he also, various other, he has various other hardline immigration policies. He is an interesting.
Don't forget replacing immigrant. Don't forget replacing migrant farm labor.
I forgot
prison labor.
Which is, I think the best part of that is that it implicitly recognizes that actually like the illegal immigrants he wants to deport every illegal immigrant in the country right now, which that's a tough task. That's a lot of let's just be honest. Regardless of the merit, that's a tough task right there. He wants to deport every single one, and I think that. Then he wants to replace. He implicitly recognizes that a lot of them work jobs that it would be very hard to get American. It would be very hard to get legal citizens to work, particularly farm labor, because farm labor is often difficult in very remote places. So I think that then his proposal for that is not up the pay. His proposal is force prisoners to work on the farm, which is just,
Now I'm going to say this: there may be an optics problem here with saying, "Hey, you prisoner, you're going to go work on the farm, and that is your job now." Considering many prisoners are, of course, black, that comes off as a tad racially insensitive, perhaps.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Wait, so wait. Also, I just looked it up. So 62% of the people in prison in Mississippi are black or African American.
Oh,
so he would presumably they wouldn't be getting paid for this. And a largely black contingent of prisoners would get sent to farms in rural Mississippi and work without pay. So that's his plan. I'm sure he's thought through a lot.
Oh no! I can't believe we didn't make that connection until now. I don't know how we didn't. That's terrible.
Yeah, again, this is the guy who wants a mandatory 10-year prison sentence if you tear down a monument. So,
I think someone should ask him to, when these prisoners, white or black, right? Because this is a nationwide program. We don't want to imply that Michael Cassidy is being racially insensitive. This is a nationwide program. And so I think we should ask him, how would they be forced to stay? Would there be penalties for maybe leaving the property they were assigned to? Or would there be, things tying them to where they are? This is, I think we need to ask him. Let's do an interview.
Would there be tiny houses on the farmland where these guys all bunk and dorm together? What if the farm is
far away from a prison? Do they have to stay in a bunkhouse or something?
I'd imagine there'd be employers, there to ensure that they stay.
Exactly.
This sort of position,
they would be armed with whips and guns, Again,
this is really bad. To be clear here, this is ridiculous.
Yes, obviously.
Michael Guest has put out ads. Among other things, apparently the cost of all of this nonsense would be $58 trillion over 10 years. So, he's put up ads.
Double the national debt.
Put up ads saying that. He's also apparently put some ads up about possibly, having a bad Air Force record, among other things. Not good. Apparently he's Cassidy has scrubbed a lot of this from his website, but the problem is the internet does not forget, and the Internet Archive definitely exists, and we have pictures of all of this. So, good luck saying that you didn't support this. It's not good. It's.
Apart from maybe I'm wrong, but apart from the Trump support aspect of this, the really hardcore, he's big into Donald Trump and believes the election was fraudulent and whatever. Apart from that, I feel this combination of views is kind of just your average white Democratic Mississippi state representative from 2005. I feel if you plucked one of them from 2005, they have this combination of views apart from Donald, and actually some of them probably support Donald Trump now. So he probably isn't that different from a white Mississippi.
Again, this is the problem with voting for complete rando nutcases, because your representative voted for the January 6th Commission. To be clear, it is entirely fine to vote out your representative because they didn't want the January 6th Commission. I am just requesting that you look into the other candidate before you do this. Because I'm gonna on the scale of things that matter, if you're a conservative, I would imagine supporting Medicare for all is a big up here. Is this is a big problem. I'm gonna put January 6th Commission about here. Just in terms of things, $58 trillion over 10 years voted for a committee.
You know,
I don't know. I don't know.
Proposing programs that would immediately double the national debt, or more than double the current national debt.
Yeah, re-implement slavery to some degree, but he voted for the committee. Like,
Wait, by the way, can we also talk about, in terms of like objectively? I mean, this result is like objectively kind of funny. Can we talk about other objectively funny results, like Republicans getting locked out of a safe Republican state Senate seat in California?
Top two. I hate jungle primaries. I hate jungle primaries. I hate jungle primaries. I hate jungle primaries. They're awful.
Wait, so I just also want to be kind of clear about this. So currently the chamber is 31-9 Democratic, and it's now going to go they're at least going to lose one more seat, because so I guess this is a district that spans, if I have it correctly, some of the Sierra Nevada and some small parts of the Central Valley up kind of towards Sacramento.
It's like a Trump +5 seat.
It's like Trump +5. It's like might be competitive in a good would be competitive in a good Democratic year probably, but obviously this is a Republican year, so it's not competitive. And I guess what happened was the local GOP was getting a little nervous, so they sent out mailers promoting what they thought was the more extreme and less electable of the two Democrats. Well, that ended up kind of backfiring, because that Democrat ended up coming in second, and it now looks like they're going to be completely locked out. And the seat, by the way, they're staggered terms, so this seat will not be up for election until 2026 which could be a good Democratic term. So this might be like the whole decade right here. Like this might just be the whole this might be the whole ball game.
Hooray for idiocy! Woo!
So that was pretty funny. I did want to give one more shout out in California to Katie Porter, who's currently sitting at like 51%, which is like okay. I do want to say this district though, if I have the area this district is in right,
I'm pretty sure it stretches from from coast to coast in Orange County into like Huntington Beach, and like I'm pretty sure this is mostly the old Rohrabacher seat, just to some degree.
Yeah, well, I just want to be clear that Orange County and and parts of Orange County near here, they recalled in 2018, which was a very good Democratic year. They recalled a Democratic state senator largely because he had voted for the gas tax increase.
Yep.
And if there's one thing I know about, I don't own a car, but if there's one thing I know about gas, it's quite expensive right now. So we'll see how this goes.
Honestly, just wait until it gets to $10 a gallon. It's got to be $10 in California. I mean,
no. It's only, I think in San Francisco, it's only like $7.
Only
right
$7.
Only $7. And I think there are some stations in Southern California that are approaching 8, but yeah, I don't think it's hitting 8 anywhere in the Bay Area. I could be wrong though. That's tough. If you got a 15-gallon car, geez, that's a $125 fill up.
I drive, so gas is up to $4.69 here. Gas is up to $4.69 here. I get 16 miles a gallon, and I can drive about 240 to 250 miles. So I have to fill up going just to and from work about 2 to 3 times a month. It's like it is legitimately bonkers how bad it is. And the great thing, the wonderful thing about inflation is that it's also making used cars entirely unaffordable. So even if I wanted to get a different vehicle, tough shit, because they're all expensive now. So yay, America.
I think it's funny. I see all these people who are like Eric, just like buy a more fuel efficient car. But I think it's funny that the same people who are like, landlords are terrible because they take your money in small chunks so you can never save up to buy a house, are also like, stop spending so much money on gas. Just take thousands of dollars and go buy a new, more fuel efficient car. Like I think
Debbie Stabenow in a congressional hearing about a Senate hearing about gas prices. I haven't felt that bad. I have my electric vehicle that I take back and forth from Michigan to Washington D.C.
Yeah.
And Debbie, I don't have $52,000 freaking dollars laying around right now to buy the newest Tesla, buddy.
Yeah, and then another $3,000 to install a charging station to your house. Another, depending on it, maybe at work, because you're not going to be spending an hour every week at a charging station. That's just not how electric vehicles work. Just to close the pet peeves here, legitimate policy pet peeve with the Biden administration. I am not ethically, morally, any way opposed to electric vehicles. I think you could do electric vehicles smart. I think Joe Biden has no idea how electric vehicles work. And I don't think any Democrat in Congress knows how electric vehicles work. And here's why. Electric vehicles are not like internal combustion engine vehicles. With an internal combustion engine vehicle, when you run out of gas, you go to the gas station, you take a minute to fill it up, and then you're done. With an electric vehicle, you do not go to a charging station to fill it up. You fill it up at home or at work. That is where you fill them up when you're not in the vehicle. Ideally, you should almost never have to be sitting waiting for your vehicle to charge for a normal daily commute. It would be charging when you're not using it at work or when you're not using it at home. That should be sufficient to keep it topped off, generally speaking, at all times. The Biden administration was convinced with the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which I think is terrible, that the best way to promote electric vehicles is to build charging stations everywhere. For the cost of a charging station, how many electric vehicle charging kits could you have set up at businesses and apartments across the country? I would imagine a lot more. I would say probably maybe even 100. You could set up 100, apartment or business charging stations for the cost of building like one equivalent of a gas station. I don't know why they didn't think of this. I don't know why I'm the only one who's thinking of this, but it's genuinely irritating me because they could have actually set up electric vehicles to do pretty well. And now it's like, well, yeah, even if I go get an electric vehicle, where am I going to charge it? There's like one electric vehicle charger where I'm from. And I've seen exactly one electric vehicle in town in the last 2 years. So like,
hooray for America.
Yeah. Like, think these things through. I don't want to pay $5 for gas. I also don't want to be in a situation where my only choices are to buy a new vehicle, to buy a used vehicle at a more expensive cost than a new vehicle, to buy an electric vehicle and have to take out a loan to put a charger in my house. Like, that's nonsense. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, all very true. Do we want to wrap up on some of the more substantive stuff we had listed? We had the Vermont Attorney General is a gamer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got it. Yeah.
So sounds like he retired to take presumably like general counsel or like in-house counsel position with Roblox, which is like, you guys know better than me. What is it, like a mobile gaming platform or something?
I don't know. Eric's the gamer here. I don't know what the hell.
I have not played Roblox.
I know what it is, but I don't know what the hell they do with it.
I have not played Roblox, but from my knowledge of Roblox, it's basically a platform where you can make games within a game. So like if you go into Roblox and you can either play other people's games they have made, or you can make your own. So it could be like a first-person shooter, or it could be something else. And the characters all look like Legos. It's very popular. It makes a lot of money. They sell a lot of like skins and stuff like Fortnite does and whatnot with Robux is what they're called. So, pretty lucrative business. I'm not a fan of the business model, of course, but whatever, that's how video games are making their money these days. It's a lucrative business to go to, basically. And I think, I'm not sure why they need another in-house lawyer, because basically from what I can tell, Roblox is really positioning themselves as being like a metaverse gaming platform. And they also market a lot to kids, and that involves spending money. So maybe that's why they're looking for additional in-house counsel, because there's a whole lot of stuff going on right now about, kids being lured into gambling.
Yeah, their Wikipedia is terrible, man. I mean, wait, when you finish, I'm going to read this. This is hilarious. Like, they probably better be paying them a lot of money. That's all I can say.
How bad is this?
This is, okay, wait. So this is the revenue and reception section of their thing. So the criticism section is quite long. So I'm gonna get to the meat of this. So okay, here. People make games, which is I'm an investigative YouTube channel. Okay. Released further accusations of practices by Roblox endangering child safety, such as lack of oversight of developers and a method for people to address developer abuse, leading to child developers being exploited for labor on third-party platforms, allowing a developer to seemingly continue monetizing and having control of game development despite their personal account being banned for reportedly sexually preying on a child, and running the collectibles market to function like gambling, refusing to help a developer whose account was hacked and had its collectibles and assets stolen, and encouraging children to seek official and unsafe trading sites to easily obtain highly valuable items. Then in April 2022, so a couple months ago, Truth in Advertising filed a complaint against Roblox with the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, for deceptive marketing. So I think they better be shelling out a lot of money for him to come be their in-house counsel on this one.
Yeah, I think you might need that. You see, teaching children to gamble is bad. And not protecting them from sexual predators is very bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Okay, so I guess he's going. The other thing we had on the agenda was Texas 34 next week.
We got a good show. We got some fun stuff for Tuesday. South Carolina and Nevada are both on Tuesday.
No. Wait, are they?
Yeah, South Carolina and Nevada are both on Tuesday. I just looked. June 14th, South Carolina and Nevada.
I thought we had like a week off.
No. We got a show tonight on Tuesday, Kraz. We got a show, buddy.
Oh, we do. Oh, it's the 21st when it's just for we don't care about the 21st.
Well, there are runoffs that day, my dude.
Oh, there's the Alabama runoff.
Well,
you care about the 21st because it's Virginia, but no one else cares about that.
That's true. I might just go down to Virginia just to enjoy myself. I might be getting invited by one of the campaigns. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go. So June 14th, we've got Maine. That's going to be gubernatorial primary. It's kind of interesting. No, there's no Senate race. That was 2020. Wait, no, there's no Senate race.
No, he was in 28. Angus King was in 28.
Yeah.
He's not up yet.
Nevada, that's interesting. Adam Laxalt might lose to a not even like very conservative outsider, like a kind of like moderate outside. It's a very weird situation. It would be objectively funny if Adam Laxalt lost.
Yeah, it would be objectively. I think it would be objectively funnier if Dinah Titus lost her primary, though. Did you hear? There's been talks about that today.
Yeah, so I saw this. Like, who's challenging her? Like,
she was the one who did the worst when it was that tear down the house documentary.
The same woman from that documentary.
Yeah, she's the one from Nevada, Amy Valea.
No way.
Yes. Yeah, and she's got like a Sanders endorsement. Apparently, she actually has money this time too. She's raised like $470,000 or something like that.
Oh my God! Wait,
that
would be an objectively very funny result.
This would be objectively very funny too, because remember, this is no longer the safety Las Vegas-based seat. This is the now only like Biden plus 8 seat Nevada in a state which may have some potentially negative outcomes for Democrats this year.
I think it's kind of funny that they drew the gerrymander, and there's like a non-zero chance that Democrats go 0-4.
That'd be hilarious. That would be
the thing is, that would run a significantly better gerrymander in Nevada if you just like gave like a little bit more blue to the Las Vegas based district, and then drew like the southern district up to like Reno and Carson City, and then packed all of the rurals and exurbs into the 1 second district.
You can't.
You could draw
every person out on election Twitter has drawn this gerrymander. You literally just take Reno, you take the blue and light red parts of Reno, and you go straight down the side of the state that has nobody. There is no population.
There is no population.
There's like
no one lives
2,000 people living in that entire stretch. The highway that goes through there, they call it America's loneliest road for a reason. Like, there is nothing there.
I just want to counter that. I remember when me and my family were driving from like after we moved past Topeka and Kansas, and we drove through the rest of Kansas. That was pretty bad. I just want to say
that's bad. This is worse. Like, I don't think you understand. I took the second, like the more populous highway in Nevada. Like when I did my road trip, it was up north, and so it goes through metropolises such as Elko and Winnemucca, and you just go miles, and there's like nothing, like absolutely, like
literally nothing, like literally
nothing.
not like nothing in the vague generic sense of the term. Like, oh, there's like something there. No, there's nothing. There's literally nothing.
Like there's actually nothing. Like the only worst part was when we got to Wyoming and we came to a town called, I'm not kidding about this, it's called Point of Rocks. And it has a population of 4, and there's a pile of rocks with a sign that says Point of Rocks. There's a gas station, population of 4, presumably run by one family, and that's the town. It's a legitimate census designated place.
Hooray!
Hooray.
I don't know. Pennsylvania has a town called Intercourse. So
that's a good one. Wait, but coming back to this, okay, so everybody on election Twitter has drawn this gerrymander, and then the Nevada Democratic Party was like, "Oh God, this is so tough. Oh my God, how do we? We just can't. Like I don't get it. Like they were like, oh my God, like we can't change Nevada too. We can't change Mark A. Modi's seat. Oh no, it was so weird. And so now they might go over 4, which would like it's just ridiculous.
Again, objectively funny. Again,
objectively funny. Like. And
I don't care what side you're in. It's hilarious. It's literally hilarious.
Wait, and then we have South Carolina too, which we're going to start a new segment called "Where's the Beef?" Don't sue us, Wendy's. Don't do it. We might have to cut this so we don't get a DCMA takedown notice. But we're going to do a beef segment because in the South Carolina gubernatorial Democratic primary.
Oh yes, I saw this.
Yeah, so I talked about this on the stream, but I kind of want to recap it because it's very funny. In the heated race for the right to lose to Henry McMaster by 20 points. I guess the Speaker of the House voted, or didn't vote, he endorsed Joe Cunningham. And Joe Cunningham's opponent, Mia McLeod, took offense to that and basically got on Twitter and was like, you're an asshole. Like, you cheat on your wife with the babysitter, married the babysitter, and then like tried to get me to appoint the babysitter as like a judge, even though she's unqualified or something. Just a lot of airing dirty laundry for like a pretty irrelevant state party. And so
extremely irrelevant state party.
Extremely irrelevant. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it did. What I mean, we got the Mace versus Arrington nonsense, of course. Where apparently reports came out in the middle of this week that President Trump is terrified of going to South Carolina because apparently Arrington's internals match Trafalgar polls showing her down going into election night, and he's terrified of endorsing another loser.
Yeah, he endorsed Arrington.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Yeah. It made no sense at the time, and it makes no sense now.
Well, wasn't the second time he endorsed her? He didn't endorse her in 2018.
Well, that was the Mark Sanford primary, and yeah, he endorsed her, I think, but that like Sanford had his own issues with the base. That was a more defensible primary than this. Like, I literally the only reason you would vote against Nancy Mace is that you don't like what she said after the Capitol, where again, like she was scared to bring her kid to DC because there's a riot going on. Like, I think that's as far as there's no reason to go after her. I really don't get this. It does not make any sense at all.
I just think that I have a kind of theory that like I think Trump takes offense when there are successful politicians who aren't like in his model, like even if they're not like I just think he takes offense when there are politicians who are really successful that are just kind of like established, like they're just like regular Republicans, and he's like
they're a normal person. Yeah,
always gets pissed about that.
Yeah, they're not Mike Lindell.
Also, okay, so South Carolina, North Dakota, nothing too interesting there. So we'll have a few to go over next week, and then we'll go into Alabama, where Mo Brooks is down bad, down horrendous.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I don't mean
Georgia congressional runoffs for that week too, but I don't really care.
He's still not gotten over the breakup with Trump. It's kind of sad. We're rooting for the guy.
Bad. Yeah, he's got to hop on Hinge or something. Fine.
Oh, Hinge. We're not even gonna give him Tinder. He's got to go on Hinge.
Mo Brooks has got to be like it just like he literally got on Twitter. I don't know, like he literally got on Twitter and like. They were like Notes app. It was like Notes app tweet where you like write something on the Notes app and screenshot it, and was like begging Trump to re-endorse him. It was like
it's even worse. He was telling people to tweet to President Trump to re-endorse him, and then he was retweeting literally every random account on Twitter that was tweeting the hashtag. I mean, it's like Mike 172506, like profile picture is him, a selfie with him in sunglasses in his truck, and it's like President Trump. Oh no, it was even worse. It's like based populist 73, who's a 15-year-old groiper from California, and it's like he's just like. Just to be clear, hypothetical, I'm not sure if that account exists. I'm pretty sure it does.
It probably does. I do want to say the proliferation of election Twitter has led to like some very funny accounts where like it'll be like someone will be like, I don't even know. I'm trying to think of a good example. Someone will be like based, like based like David Kustoff stan with like the laser eyes. Then they'll be like,
No,
they'll be
what's
like,
another? What I was thinking, I'm like
Marie
like,
Newman
what's a
stan.
random like Warren Davidson stan? Like Warren Davidson.
Warren
You've got
Or like you'll
what
discover
else?
like based Warren Davidson stan, and then it's like, oh yeah, I'm a teenager from New Jersey, guys. Like, don't worry though.
It's all ironic. It's. I want to make a comparison to the Morbius meme because I think that's hilarious. But like, it's the same idea as the more. It's just like taking this it's the same idea. It's like you're taking this banal thing that nobody cares about. Like, yep, I am the defender of
Warren Davidson.
Yeah, Warren. No, it's not even Warren Davidson. It's like it'd be something ridiculous like David Kustoff stan or like like a Virginia Fox stan. Like nobody have any strong opinions on.
No one cares about
Lance
Yeah.
Gooden stan. No, I have some opinions on Lance Gooden.
Yeah.
I have a great story that I heard about Lance Gooden. He's the congressman from Texas, is worth the congressional district, and I heard this from a friend of mine in the Virginia area, and she and her friend were in the Trump Hotel after their internship one night, and what do you know? A congressman from Texas shows up, tries to hit on her and her friend at the Trump Hotel.
Well, at least he wasn't hitting on an ISIS bride. I mean, that's like
That's true. It wasn't nice, bro. Didn't cost him that bullshit, you know.
Wait, I also like if you I like going on and finding random accounts, reading the bio, and then like guessing how old they are and where they're from. So like you'll find people who are like you know, Lula 2022, like tearing down capitalism, like Pedro Castillo stan, and then like, oh, by the way, like I'm 16 and like live in the suburbs of Richmond, Virginia. Like,
oh no, I have a better game. I have a better game, and I play this game whenever I see this in my profile. I call it the guess that anime profile pick game. I like to guess. So if I tweet something and I see an anime profile pick, I try to guess just off of the name, just off of the picture and the name, whether they're a liberal or a conservative. It's not even that. It's usually they're either a fascist or a communist. Generally, most of the time.
Well, what is Matt Isbell? Is Isbell a fascist or conservative or a communist?
Oh no,
he's changed his to anime girl.
Yeah. It's not even like a good one. I'm actually confused by like usually like they at least look pretty decent. Like it's just like it's not even like a good
anime girl. Eric, would you like to give us your anime girl preferences?
No, I don't watch anime. So like no, I'm just like saying like objectively speaking, it doesn't even look that anime-ish. So it's like I don't even know what it is. But I was going to show this map I made real quick just to show like how easy it is to gerrymander Nevada. I did this in 3 minutes. There you go. These 3 seats right here all voted for Joe Biden by at least 12 points. They would be safe in a wave election. Instead, they decided not to do that and instead to create 3 single-digit Biden seats because reasons. And to be clear, like even like this is a ridiculous, egregious map, but like in the realm of egregiousness, like I keep most of these small counties intact. Like, I mean, it's not great, but you know, it's borderline defensible somewhat because it does drag in some of those rules. But yeah, it's like you could literally like draw this in 3 minutes. And I guess they decided to not. And then Dinah Titus only realized that she was in a competitive seat like after the map was drawn. It's like, what are you doing? They had no issue.
I was told this would be my seat for life. Damn it.
They had no issue. They had no problem gerrymandering the legislature correctly. I'm not sure why they couldn't, gerrymander the congressional districts correctly, but that's just how it is with elections.
I don't know why people haven't started to like hire people like us. Like, God damn it! Like, just give us your map making software. We'll get you some shit in like 10 minutes, and then boom, it'll work.
I think it was Virginia hired Sean Trendy.
Yep. They hired.
Oh yeah, but Sean is like at least like a respected professor at Ohio State. Like I want to dare like the Oklahoma Republican Party or somewhere,
to hire like a 16-year-old populist on Twitter to draw their congressional map next time.
No, that'd be stupid. hire like California needs to hire Kraz, and like North Carolina's gonna hire Eric. And,
no, not Adam. No. Sorry, Adam, but no, I get to draw.
We do care for you, Adam. We're sorry. We apologize for that.
He gets to draw New York. Yeah.
Like seriously, Pennsylvania Republicans, just give me a call. Some of you people have my number. I'll do a legal map, and I'll do a kind of sort of questionable map. I'll do whatever the hell you want if you pay me $20,000. Jesus, not that hard.
No, that's what the consultants are for. That's got to go to the consultants because
it's not that hard. Only if you have the will to do it. It's not that hard.
Yeah, but no, regardless, I think we're going to see some really weird. Obviously, I know I've heard that Texas is considering redrawing the Rio Grande Valley because they did not expect it to shift this quickly. They didn't expect to have 3 really strong candidates who could win in 1 year. They expected to win like 1 of the seats, maybe 2. They could possibly win all 3. So that's they're considering doing that. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting this year. Regardless, I think we're at about hour 30-minute mark, so probably about a good time.
We're probably time done. I think we're done here.
About a good time to close it off. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate you turning up for this. Like, subscribe wherever you're at. We appreciate your support. You can follow us all on Twitter. We have our names here. We post stuff. Also some general nonsense sometimes, as it is on Twitter.
Some would say I post too much. Yep. Specifically my girlfriend.
Yep.
But I think
you post the least out of us. How can you post too much? No, she's still mad about the feminist tweet. That's what it has to be.
Oh yeah.
But no, yeah. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, we'll be back next week. Dylan should be with us next week, I think. So we're gonna have
Tuesday. We'll gotta see them Tuesday.
Yeah, see you Tuesday because we have elections on Tuesday. So we will see you Tuesday for election coverage, primary coverage in South Carolina and
Nevada.
Yep, Nevada. Oh yeah, Nevada's
There's like 2 other random states, but we don't really care about them.
Just wait until they actually have an interesting race somewhere, like a random congressman gets unseated by like a Republican gets unseated by a literal socialist or something. Like, who knows?
I was gonna say what South Dakota I think is happening. Like, what dipshit is gonna happen in South Dakota, right?
Wait, but they didn't time it with the. You would think they would. No, probably North Dakota, not South Dakota. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Regardless, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your support. See y'all next week.